Namaste to all. Namaste. So this will be the last session. I hope you enjoyed these sessions, these talks, as much as I did, if not more. This was a joint journey into the heart of truth, exploring your own essential nature with a willingness or a desire to express your divinity as you interact with the world. These things should be very clear. Very clear. And you must have known by this time that Bhagavad Gita is a supermarket of ideas. Sometimes contradictory ideas. Conflicting, contradictory. And to reconcile all these ideas, you need a lived experience. Not just an armchair scholarship. Just armchair scholarship will make you more confused. But a person of lived experience will be able to reconcile all these ideas. That's why I named this session or talk as Samanvaya Yoga. The yoga of integration, reconcile. So you can create the best plan of action for you. The best plan of action. Because life is a series of choice making. That's how you build the edifice of your life. We have to make choices. These choices you make determine your life, your future, your character, your personality. So, how do we reconcile various ideas? I would say Bhagavad Gita is a practical book of instruction. They are very practical. I would call it contemplative action. Contemplative action. That is the basic reconciliation what Bhagavad Gita makes. Contemplation and action. Apparently, they are two contradictory lifestyles. Either you contemplate, close your eyes and sit cross-legged and shake your nose, contemplate, or you are out in the world. It seems that they are contradictory ideas. But Bhagavad Gita says you can reconcile contemplation and action. So, such a person is an ideal person, sthita prajna, a person of contemplative action. And when you contemplate, then you are able to restrain yourself instead of reacting. For example, Bhagavad Gita says, Ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa is supreme virtue. Ahimsa means non-violence, is supreme virtue. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't stop there. Ahimsa paramo dharma, non-violence is supreme virtue, but a but is added. Sometime you may have to engage in violence to secure justice, equality, freedom. Sometime, not all the time. So ahimsa paramo dharma, non-violence is supreme virtue, but Now Bhagavad Gita says, be an honest person under all circumstances. But, there is a but come. Sometimes you may have to hide the truth. As somebody said, truth travels with the bodyguards of untruth. This is our famous, your defense minister under George Bush, I think, who said, I forget his name. So, be honest, be a truthful person, but that but is a very pregnant but. Respect others, no doubt, but don't tell lie, but don't kill, but. So this is what I say, Bhagavad Gita is presenting a layered teaching, very layered. It is not a reductionist dharma that Bhagavad Gita teaches. Reductionism means ideology. You don't take the ground realities into consideration. It is sheer ideology. This ideology is reductionism is dangerous. It doesn't recognize the basic ground realities. So that means you are responsible. You are responsible in all the choices that you make. Maybe that is why at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Idam te jnanamakhyadam guhyad guhyadamam maya vimrishayadadasheshena yadechasi tadha kuru. I have given you the truth, the knowledge. I have given you the knowledge as far as I can see it. But it is your responsibility to reflect on this critically and make your choices. You are responsible for the choices you make. Don't blame me, your guru or your parents or even God. This is greatest freedom. God gives you that freedom. I have told you what I know, what I think is right. But it is for you now to choose every step of the way. You have to make your choices. This is called freedom. So it's a very nuanced freedom. So when Bhagavad Gita says ahimsa paramo dharma, of course, there are Western scholars who criticize Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, there is a hypocritical text. On one side it says ahimsa paramo dharma. On another says, Bhagavad Gita says, therefore, yuddhaya kritanichaya, get up and fight. Isn't it? On one side, Bhagavad Gita says, ahimsa paramo dharma, be non-violent, don't kill. But at the same time, Bhagavad Gita says, therefore, tasmad uttishta gavande yuddhaya kritanichaya, have to secure justice and freedom. You have to fight. So how do you reconcile all this? This is the question Bhagavad Gita replies. That's what I said. You need the lived experience. As an armchair theoretician, you may not be able to reconcile all this. Of course, Bhagavad Gita presents the ideal of a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is a person of steady wisdom who is happy within herself and happily engaged in the world. I have been repeating it again and again, lest you forget it. Sthita Prajna is the one who is happy in herself and happily goes around sharing his happiness, bringing light and beauty and truth into this world. That's an ideal person presented by Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, Bhagavad Gita says, Sahajam karma gaundeya sadosham abhinastajet sarvarambahi doshena dhumena agnirivavradaha. No action in the human world can be perfect. No action, no choice that you make can be perfect. If you look for a perfect action, that is a sure recipe for inaction and failure in life. So there is no perfect action. Perfect action is a lotus eater's dream. When you live in this world, living your ideals, you may have to cut corners and compromise and trade-offs are involved. And which Krishna himself proved in the battle of Mahabharata, in the Kurukshetra. So, sarvarambhahi doshena dhumena agnirvavrutaha. Just as there is no fire without smoke, there is no action without defect. When you make decisions, you may be hurting a few people. Your spouse may be hurt. Your children may be hurt. Your neighbors may be hurt. Possible. And since you don't want to hurt anyone, you don't take any action. You don't make any choice. Which is not recommended by Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita says, don't wait for a perfect action. There can be an optimal action. Let me put it that. There can be only an optimal action. Optimally, the balance of truth is on your side. Optimally. So, sarvarambhahi doshena dhume. This is another reconciliation I am talking about. Freedom and necessity. Choice and necessity. Otherwise, you become paralyzed. That is what happened to Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to be an ideal person, an ideologue in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which led him to a condition of paralysis. You have to move on. With the available data, you have to make a decision and make choices. And you may be wrong. It is possible. If you are wrong, you can learn from your mistakes. If you don't do anything, there is no opportunity for you to learn. So that you should not be afraid of making mistakes. Because you don't have all the data in the world, nor do you have the ability to process all those data. So decision making is a leap of faith, as I said. With the available data, you make a choice. So this is a very important slogan in the Bhagavad Gita. There is no perfect choice, no perfect action. Actions are always will have a taint. Like you cannot make an ornament with a pure gold, isn't it? Pure gold, you have to add some copper. Then alone you can make an ornament like earrings or chain and all that. So this is very, very important. That's why I said the dharma that Bhagavad Gita recommends is layered, nuanced. It requires a lot of contemplation. It is constrained by the conditionalities, by the environment. It is conditioned by the outcome you want to create. The outcome you want to create. So you have to think of the virtue of your action, the rightness of your action. You also have to think of the outcome that you create. Both are necessary. You cannot be reductionistic like the Western thinkers. Either they, like a Kant, who said, don't worry about the outcome of your action. Be honest. Whereas the other people, utilitarians, you say, you have to always think about the outcome. Don't worry about the means that you adopt. You cannot take sides there. The means are as important as the end. The end is as important as the means. So how do you reconcile this? It is only lived experience that you can reconcile this. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita's ideal is not a book. or the laws written in black and white. That's not the Bhagavad Gita's ideal. Bhagavad Gita's ideal is a person who lives this truth. That's very, very important. You have to see the person. How Mahatma Gandhi lived, how Krishna lived, how Rama lived. It's very difficult for me to give an example from the recent history. Very difficult. Very difficult. But I can say I have only Mahatma Gandhi in my mind, or Krishna, Rama, or maybe Nelson Mandela. I don't have any, or maybe Abraham Lincoln. And there are a lot of many people who have not come into the limelight in the pages of history. My mother, or your grandmother, or maybe a villager, uneducated villager. They may be living this highest truth in their own way. So let's not belittle them. Let's not bring only historical person highlighting this idea. So Bhagavad Gita though says that tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya kritha it is to secure justice. Sometimes you may have to take difficult decisions and live with them. So Krishna encouraged Dharmaputra, the icon of truth and virtue, to tell a lie in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That was the condition necessitated by the conditions of that time. And you must be able to do that. But don't make it your habit. Oh, I told one lie. Now I have the freedom to, once you taste blood, the tiger tastes blood, then it wants always blood. So that is only a standalone deviation. Don't lose your way in the process. You have to come back. You must come back. And for the decisions you have taken, you are responsible for. So end of the Mahabharata war, Gandhari curses Krishna. Oh, you made Dharmaputra to tell a lie and treacherously you killed all our children, my children. Krishna says, Ma, I take responsibility. I am a responsible person. And sometimes we have to do that. I take responsibility. I take the blame. Put me on the cross, Krishna said. And Krishna was willing to be on the cross for those slight deviations he made to sustain dharma. So that is what I say. It is a nuanced dharma, not a reductionist, flat dharma that Krishna is talking about. And therefore, your responsibility, because the one who makes the choices is responsible, looking at the conditions around him, the situations around, he has to make his own choices. You can always look into the toolkit, or the blue book. It is not written there. They have given you only the general rules, but there are a lot of clauses. This makes you responsible. You cannot say, I just did what was written in the book. You have to reflect, contemplate, assimilate, and take responsibility. And choice making and being active in the world, which is the fundamental teaching of Bhagavad Gita. You have to be very active in the world, because the world gives you the opportunity to explore and express your divinity. If there is no world, which is not possible. If you want to develop your muscles and biceps, you have to lift heavier and heavier weights. Similarly, you have to be in this world, interact with the people, take up responsibilities, make decisions, and learn from those experiences. This is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. And hence Bhagavan said, I taught you this lesson, but it is for you, edad vimursya sheshena yadechasi tada guru. It is for you to do as you deem fit in the given situation. This is quite a responsibility that Bhagavad Gita throws upon us, the individuals. Because every moment unfolds in its own unique way. Old solution may not work in the new situation. We always say that the winning strategy is, once upon a time it was a winning strategy. Now it is a recipe for failure. So you have to make your choices. So that sloka becomes, to me, that sloka is the most important sloka in the Bhagavad Gita. Yadechasi tatha kuru. Do as you deem fit. Listen to your inner soft voice. Put all this in your brain. Shake it up. Process it. And at the end of the day, listen to your inner voice. What that voice says. Act accordingly. And you will be the right person. That choice will be the right choice. At the same time, you must listen. You must discuss with as many people as possible. You must study the scripture. You must discuss with the wise people. You must look at nature. You must look at your own capabilities and your responsibilities. Considering all this, put all this in the crucible of your mind and then relax. The best solution will emerge in the process. This is what Bhagavad Gita says, and it puts the whole responsibility of decision making on the individual. The individual has the capacity and the responsibility to take decisions. Thus, and when you are such a reflective, contemplative individual, active in the world, the last sloka of Bhagavad Gita says, Tatra Shri Vijayaha Bodhihi Dhruva Nidhihi Madihi Mama. There you can ensure justice, equality, freedom, progress, prosperity, and all those values that you seek in life will be there where you are a contemplatively active person. This is the kind of reconciliation, Samanvaya, I am talking about. So Bhagavad Gita is not a warmongering text. Though Bhagavad Gita says, Tasmaduchistaka, therefore get up and fight. The fight does not mean everybody should take the weapon and fight. The fight means, Sudharmakyam yuddham guru, Bhagavan says. You do your duty. Doing the duty is the fight. If you are a teacher, teach. If you are a farmer, engage in those activities. If you are a brain surgeon, do that. If you are a barber, do that. So doing one's own duty is the yuddha Bhagavan talking about. Yuddha means, there is always these conflicting ideas in our mind. Should I do this? Should I do that? That's the kind of yuddha fight going on in your mind. And finally, you have to reconcile all these thoughts and take a decision and act. And don't wait for a perfect decision. So that's the kind of reconciliation Bhagavan talks about. Another reconciliation is spirit and matter. We always think spirit is different from matter. That's why you are a materialist, I am a spiritualist. And then you feel you are on the high ground of morality. I am a spiritualist. You are a materialist. You think of money and pleasures and all that. Bhagavad Gita says there is no conflict between the spirit and matter. Matter is a flowering of the spirit. Matter is a flowering of the spirit. Of course, matter flowers and fades, like a flower. In the morning, the flower blooms, and by the evening, it is faded. Similarly, the material world bloom and fade and flower and fade continuously. And the spirit is inexhaustible. The matter is actualized spirit. Spirit is invisible, the root system. Matter is the shoot system which is visible. So Bhagavad Gita reconciles the spiritual and the material life. And we already seen, to lead a spiritual life, you need a pure mind, a balanced mind. And that pure and balanced mind is achieved or gained by interacting with the world. Otherwise, you don't have a mind. If you are sitting in a cave, you don't have a mind. Because in the cave, you will be sleeping. So to gain a pure mind, you have to engage in karma yoga. We have seen in Bhagavad Gita. After gaining a pure mind, you have to reflect and contemplate and then experience that inner joy. You have to again interact with the world. So Bhagavan reconciles the spiritual and the material. Bhagavan reconciles action and contemplation. Bhagavan also reconciles ahimsa and himsa. Ahimsa means non-violence, himsa means violence. There are situations where himsa becomes ahimsa. There are situations when injustice is done to you. For example, take the history, the story of Pandavas. Because Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjuna, the Pandava prince, and Krishna. So Arjuna said, I don't want to engage in this war. This is against my ideals. I want to be a non-violent person. And here I am supposed to fight. The Krishna also says, I am also a champion of non-violence. But in this particular situation, violence becomes necessary. Why? Because you are dealing with an incorrigible person, incorrigibly violent person, who does not listen to reason, who doesn't listen to your language, understand your language. Because Pandavas suffered for 14 years because of their idealism, because they were banished from their kingdom. 14 years they suffered. Or maybe 13 years, whatever years, doesn't matter, 1 year, take it this way or that way. And then they came back, they claimed their kingdom, and Duryodhana says, no, I am not going to give you, I might have said it once upon a time. I changed my mind conveniently. Then Krishna goes on a dood or a reconciliation talk. Okay, give them 5 villages, at least 1 village with 5 houses, or at least 1 house with 5 charpoys, beds. So he went on giving up, giving in, giving up, giving in, giving up. A situation came there, he is on the wall almost. So there was no other way but fight. That's what I say. Bhagavad Gita is a reconciliation of ahimsa and himsa. If you simply follow ahimsa, then you become an ideologue. As somebody said, nothing in excess, but nothing in exclusion also. Nothing in excess. You should not go to the extremes, but nothing in exclusion. Bring everything together. This stitching everything together, creating a beautiful, beautiful fabric, let's say, that is the idea of Bhagavad Gita. This should go into your mind. This should be very clearly understood. The practical life. And I would call it actionable ideology. Actionable idea. Is it actionable? Can you bring it into the world? Can you live it? Or is it just a disturbance in your brain? It should be actionable, ideal. That is what Bhagavad Gita preaches. The Bhagavad Gita is not a warmongering text. Bhagavad Gita is a practical text. And that practical life is to be lived every moment of your life. This is what the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Now, generally people say there are 4 paths to truth. Especially in India, this is the general talk. There are 4 ways to reach truth. And they quote from the Rig Veda, Egam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. truth is one, but there are many paths. It is something quite different from the Western ideology. In the West, truth is one, there is only one path. Otherwise, that's my path, that is another path. I understand truth is one, there is only one path, I can understand, but that is my path. Otherwise, all the way to the highway, as they say. So, if you say truth is one, I agree. And the Veda says truth is one, the mountain peak, the promised land, and there are many paths. I remember I engaged in a discussion on truth with a Christian missionary. I went to that Amish colony. Amish colony, they are very committed Christians. Of course, Christians tortured them. That's why they came to America. This is in America I'm talking. The Catholics tortured them for some kind of a fine aspect of dogma. So they were tortured. They ran away from Europe and came to America. They're Amish colony. They live a very simple life. But they're very much rooted in their Christian ideology. So I went there. So he received me. He's the head of the Christian church there. And he had an old German Bible with him. And we engaged in a discussion. And mind you, he had got 9 daughters, and 67 grandchildren. And his age is only 67. Very worldly man. From our Indian standpoint, very worldly person. In India, you won't call him a spiritual person. 67 grandchildren, 9 daughters. And he is holding this old German Bible. So we engaged in a discussion. So I said, we believe truth is one, there are many paths. He said, how can that be? Truth is one and the path also is one. Then I asked him, sir, you have this beautiful mansion, this beautiful house. We are sitting in the center of the house. When you want to come into this house, which door you take? Which door you take? So he scratched his head. Because there are 4. From 4 sides you can come to this house. Or depending upon where I am. If I am behind the house, I come to that door. If I am in front of the house, come from the front door. If I am the side of the house, I come from the side door. I said, so similarly, it depends upon where you are. Depending upon that, you have many doors to the same truth. Egam Satta. Then he said, okay, Swamiji, would you like a Coca-Cola? I said, I don't take Coca-Cola, sir. I don't take Coca-Cola. Meaning he is relaxed. When you understand a thing, an idea, then you are relaxed. Both are happy. He's happy, I'm also happy. This is called a victory without the vanquished. Then you understand when the light goes in your mind. Your failure itself is your victory. These are the lasting victories. So the Bhagavad Gita says there are many doors to the truth, many paths to the truth. Therefore be non-violent. Let us not fight in the name of God. Ye yadhamam prabhadyante tam tadhaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmanu vartande manushya partha sarvajaha. All people are on my path. He's seeking me, Bhagavan says. Meaning everybody is trying to be happy. In the Indian tradition, or the Bhagavad Gita says, God's nature is happiness. Ananda deva khal bimani bhuda jayante. Anandam, happiness is the nature of God. And that you have to experience deeply within yourself. If God's nature is happiness, and all of us are seeking happiness in their own way, therefore, you must be tolerant. Tolerant of different paths. So Bhagavad Gita promotes pluralism, diversity. That is Bhagavad Gita's fundamental belief. Pluralism, diversity. You can live, you can search the truth in your own way. There is only one single way. And hence Bhagavad Gita promotes dialogue, conversation, not conversion. Bhagavad Gita promotes conversation, not conversion. That's the meaning of inclusion. The more the merrier. You don't want to flatten everything. You want to maintain the diversity. Now we are talking about biological diversity these days. You need a diversity of the mind also to think different thoughts. You need diversity of religions also. Diversity of faith. It's a pluralism. Is what Bhagavad Gita promotes. So the more, the merrier. The more diverse, the greater is our flourish. The spirit flourishes in an environment of diversity and pluralism. So Bhagavad Gita, Egam Sat, this is from the Vedas. Egam Sat, Vipraha Bahuda Vadandi, Agnim Yamam, Madarishwanama. There the mantra meaning is, you can worship God in fire, fire is God. You can worship God as sun. You can worship God as your breath. Because in a cloudy day, you cannot look at the sun, isn't it? In a rainy day, it's difficult to build a fire. Then how do you experience God? Close your eyes, watch your breath. So under all circumstances, you can live with that divine experience. Egam Sat, Vipraha, Bahuda, Vadandi. Now Bhagavad Gita also encourages questioning. You can question the existence of God. But that questioning itself is an enterprise, is truth-seeking. That's why Bhagavad Gita encourages doubt. You have to doubt. Doubt is very important. At this point, I remember a story of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. There is one great scholar coming to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and engages in an argument with him. And he was an atheist, maybe PhD from Oxford. In his clipped accent, he discusses with Ramakrishna, the poor villager, uneducated. And he argues and proves there is no God. And at the end of the argument, Ramakrishna prostrated to this person. He prostrated. And the disciples were stunned. Here is a man of God, a living God. And he prostrated to a person who said there is no God and proved convincingly. What is going on here? How do you reconcile this? How do you reconcile? So he prostrated, and then that person was so boosted up and he walked away. And then at the end of the day, the disciples gathered around Ramakrishna and asked him, why did you prostrate this to this person? You are a man of God and he is a man of devil. Ramakrishna says, look here, this is my reason. I have renounced only the world. And people are worshipping me, respecting me. And he has renounced even God. I must worship him. I must respect him. This is called inclusion. Inclusion. You don't feel offended by anybody. You don't feel offended by any kind of ideas. When you are in that state of large state of mind, that state of mind that you cannot be offended by any kind of proposition, because you know that every proposition will have an opposition. If you say there is God, you can say there is no God also. And in the clash between these two ideas is a flash of truth. There your mind pitch forth into the experience of truth and freedom. So, Ramakrishna's idea. He was an uneducated person, isn't it? But look at his freedom, the spaciousness of his heart. This is called a non-violence. So, we say that there are many paths to the same truth. Ye yadhamam prabadyante tam tadaiva bhajamiham. Whichever way you approach me, I will walk miles to receive you, Bhagavan says. Whichever road you come to me, like a prodigal son, one who ran away from his home, his original home, not your biological parents' home. Please understand that. I'm not talking about your biological parents, I'm talking about the spiritual parents. So you moved away from his original home and you wandered in the material world thinking that truth is there, light is there. Now finally you are exhausted and tired. You want to find your roots, your true home, and you are coming back. And you are coming back from different directions. And Bhagavan says, if you take one step forward, I will take 10 steps towards you. You know, like the Amazon River, in Brazil, the river comes to meet the ocean, its source. Because this river arose from the ocean as vapor and clouds and came down and then comes back to its source. As the Amazon approaches the ocean surges toward the Amazon and takes the Amazon river in an embrace. So similarly, Bhagavan says, Salpamapyasya dharmasya trayade mahadubhaya. Even if you take one step forward, I shall take several steps towards you, he says. There are many paths to the same truth. So these paths are all grouped into 4 paths in the Bhagavad Gita. The traditional 4 paths. What are those traditional 4 paths? You know that Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Japa Yoga. You can add a few more embellishments also. So Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So all these are described in the Bhagavad Gita. There is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga. Bhagavan says, Maya tadamidam sarvam jagad avyaktam murtina mastani sarva bhudani najaham deshavasthidaha najamastani bhudani pashyame yoga maisharam bhuda bhrna najabhudastaha mamatma bhuda bhavana. Bhagavan says in the 9th chapter. It's a classic description of the Jnana Yoga. Bhagavan says, I pervade the whole world and I have no particular form because I am pure consciousness. I pervade the whole world. I am in the world. I am outside the world. I pervade the whole world. The world is in me. I am not in the... I am just quickly going through. I have explained all this. The world is in me. I am not in the world. In fact, the world is my own manifestation. All that. This is the Jnana Yoga. And the example given is like the water and the waves. The water says, I have no particular form. I pervade all the forms, all the waves. The waves are in me. I am not in the wave. Is it not? Is it not true? The waves are in water. Water is not in the wave. Because when the waves break and disappear, water doesn't disappear. Gold says, I am in the ring. Ring is in me. I am the ring. Actually, ring is not in me because I am the ring. I manifest as the ring. Give a little thought to that. I am just quickly going through those ideas. Jnana Yoga. Or Jnana Yoga, another example is, Bhagavan says in the Siddha Prajna Lakshanam, Prajahadi yada kaman sarvan partha manogadan atmanye vatmana turta Siddha Prajna. Jnana Yoga says, the truth you are seeking, Jnana Yoga says, the truth you are seeking, the God you are seeking is not far away from you. A fool, you are the God, the truth you are seeking. This is Jnana Yoga. So far you have been struggling and walking and doing tapas and all that. It's hard work, isn't it? The hard work at the end of the day, what you realize is, Vasudevaha Sarvamidi, my God, I am seeking myself. I am seeking myself. I never lost myself. I never lost myself. I am always there. God is always with me. Why did I search for God? This is called Jnana Yoga. A sudden revelation comes to you. Bahunam janmanam mande jnanavan mam prapaddade vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After a long, long search, I come to realize I was seeking myself. Suddenly you sit down. You heave a sigh of relief. My God, I have been searching and searching and searching. And now I realize I have been searching for something which is already within me. This is called Jnana Yoga. There is no gap between the seeker and the sought. There is no gap between the sadhaka or sadhiga and the sadhyam. Suddenly, the barrier collapses and the seeker and the sought coalesce into a blaze of experience. That is called Jnana Yoga. All your striving, all your effort, everything comes to a finale, an end, a beautiful end. And with the retrospective effect, you realize, I have been that happiness I am seeking. This is called Jnana Yoga. There is no more striving. There is only sharing now. There is no more striving. There is only sharing. Sometimes you may say, Swamiji, you can say all this, but you don't know my condition. I know I am happiness, that is not the problem. But then, I am not able to taste it, I am not able to relish it, isn't it? That's our problem. I understood this. I am inspired by this. But I am not able to taste. I have sugar with me, but I am not to taste it because I am suffering from diabetes. So what should I do? So karma, the Jnana Yoga. And then Bhagavan says, if this is not really understood, because the cognitive shift has happened, not the behavioral shift. What do we say? Knowledge and experience. Difference between knowledge and experience. Jnana and experience. There's a big argument in the Vedantic circle. Is knowledge alone is enough? Or do you need experience, anubhava? It's a big argument. Some of the Vedantic masters say, mere knowledge is enough. If you really know it, there's nothing more to do. It is only sharing thereafter. That bounteous, a spiritual wealth that you enjoy has to be shared. The more you share, the more you have it. The more you retain, the more you miss it. So therefore, I'm not able to. So Bhagavan says, okay, if you don't understand this, you still think happiness in the world, you still think like that. Habitually, not consciously. Cognitively, you understand happiness is within me, but habitually you don't understand that. Therefore, work in the world. Work in the world for happiness. Make money, have power, travel all over the world, marry, have children, build your empires, thinking that that will make you happy. So that is because habitually you are driven towards that. But keep this in your mind, so that when you come to a dead end, a roadblock, this reflection comes to you. My God, what I am seeking is within me. This is only a habit which I am pursuing. Slowly, those habits will be chipped away. This knowledge will go into your muscle memory. It becomes yours. Something like, the children want to catch fire because it looks like very shining and all that. And then mother will say, no baby, don't catch fire, it will hurt you. But baby will not listen to you. When mother is busy with something, the baby will go and catch the fire. Then the baby realizes, my God, mommy was right. Then the baby will turn around and tell, mommy, don't catch fire, don't touch fire. Isn't it? Recycled wisdom. So similarly, if you are habituated towards looking outward, seeking security and happiness in the world, go ahead. But keep this in your software, that your happiness is within you. When you find a roadblock, when you come to a dead end, a cul-de-sac, then you won't get lost. Then it is time for me to sit down and look into myself, which is called karma yoga. Then for this karma yoga, when you are searching happiness in the world with this understanding, the karma yoga, you also will know that you are part of a whole system. You are not an isolated individual. You are situated in an ensemble of sensations which will stretch up to the cosmic boundaries of the cosmos. You are not just an isolated individual. Slowly you realize that as you practice karma yoga. And that knowledge, as an actor, as a doer, as an enjoyer, I belong to a system which is called bhakti, devotion. You plug into the system. Bhagavan says, nimitta matram bhava sabhyasajim. You become an instrument of the cosmic purpose. You become an instrument. Your mission should become a cosmic mission. Ananyaschindayando mam yajana parivasude tesham nityabhiyuktana yogatshemam bhavamyaham. If you plug into me, haven't you heard plug and play? You heard that phrase? Plug and play. Plug into the system. Be a devotee. And the system is very intelligent. System is not a dead machine. System is very intelligent. System is a play of consciousness. Plug into that system as an active person in the world. Then you will have Bhagavan says, you will have all the blessings in terms of health and whatnot. So then you become a devotee. This is called bhakti yoga. Become a devotee. You feel a divine presence around you. You feel that aura around you. You feel that you are taken care of. You are bold now. Like a baby holding the little finger of its mother, he doesn't care whether an elephant or a dog comes. The baby is safe and safe. Mother may be afraid of the elephant, but not the baby. My mother is there with me. So similarly, when you plug into the cosmic intelligence, by becoming a humble person, humility become very, very important. I am part of the whole. When you understand that, you become more responsible. As somebody said, if a butterfly flaps its wing in the Pacific Ocean, there will be tidal waves arising in the Indian Ocean. Everything is connected. Each of your thought, each of your action will have repercussions. So plug into that. Be a devotee. And then act in this world. So whatever you do, you happily do it as an offering. Whatever you get, you take it as a prasadam. That beautiful word in Vedanta. A nivedyam and a prasadam. So that is why yadyat karma karomi tat aghilam shambho tavaradanam. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yadjuhoshi dadasi yad yat tapasyasi kaundeya tat kurusha madarpanam. Do all that as an offering to me. Then you become a devotee. When you are a devotee, there is another path. Third path is watch your thoughts and intentions. Watch your body. Watch your environment. Develop that watchfulness. When you do that, you become a yogi, Raja Yogi. Watch. Be careful. Be watchful. Always watch your environment. Watch your body. Watch your thoughts. Watch your intentions. When you do that, which is called Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that Patanjali said Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, when you watch like this, your mind becomes like a steady flame. Yatha deepo nivadastaha nengade sobhama smrudha. Yogino yata chittasya. The one person who keeps watching like this. Not that you simply sitting and watching. You are interacting and watching. Interacting and watching. When you watch like that, then your mind, your consciousness becomes steady, like a flame, which is not affected by the winds. So this is called Raja Yoga. Anybody can practice that. You can start with watching your breath and all that. So develop that depth of awareness by continuously watching, so that you are not caught unawares. All the time, you are a watchful person. Thus, you deepen your awareness. So it seems that there are 4 paths, isn't it? Actually, these are 4 sides of the same path. That is why Bhagavad Gita integrates. When he talks about Jnana Yoga, Bhagavan highlights that. That is true. As an individual, you will have to practice all these 4. Because you are a complex entity. You have a head, a heart, a lungs, and a stomach. Some people say, I have given up my head, I have come to my heart. Very dangerous. You have given up your head and you have sunk into your heart. That's very dangerous. You have to keep your head, you have to keep your heart, you have to keep your lungs, you have to keep your stomach also. There is no stomach. There is nothing for the other part of the body. You have to eat something and digest. You need a heart, you have to pump blood, you need a lungs, you need oxygen, you need a head to control everything. You are a complex entity. So, head-oriented person, of course, Jnana Yoga. Heart-oriented person, of course, Bhakti Yoga. And stomach-oriented person, of course, Karma Yoga. And the lungs-oriented person, of course, Raja Yoga. Isn't it? But you are a complex of all this, isn't it? Therefore, we have to practice Jnana Yoga. You need knowledge, a cognitive shift. You also need Karma Yoga. You have to bring it into practice. You also need Bhakti Yoga. You should be passionate about what you are doing. And you also need Raja Yoga. You need some basic discipline. All these things should converge as a human being. You cannot say, I am a Raja Yogi, I am a Bhakti Yogi and all that. You are a yogi, Maha Yogi, period. Maha Yogi. You have to practice all those. It will come. When you are a Bhakta devotee, of course, devotee will have some innate discipline. Isn't it? You have to get up in the morning, pluck flowers and clean the temple and offer things. This is the discipline you practice. You don't say, I choose Karma Yoga, I choose Bhakti Yoga. This, since you are a combination of the head and the heart and the lungs and the stomach, we have to bring all this into convergence. This is what I would say, integral yoga, Maha. That's why Aurobindo is called Mahayogi, where we have integrated all these paths. Samanvaya yoga, or integral yoga. You can start with Jnana yoga, Karma yoga, but as you progress, you start integrating all these yogas in your life, in exploring your infinite joy and expressing your happiness in the world. So that's the integral yoga that Bhagavan talks about, and this yoga can be practiced only in a dynamically interactive world. So I wouldn't expect you to spend the rest of your time in the caves. The cave means the cave of your heart. Yoveda nidam guhayam. When they talk about the cave, it is not the physical cave somewhere. It's a cave of your heart, where you have to, that's a crucible of spirituality, where we have to bring all this discipline and become a Maha Yogi. That's the ideal that Bhagavan is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita. So please read Bhagavad Gita, at least one sloka, or some of the important slokas I have been talking about. Not only read it, practice it. Because practice is very, very important. Don't practice in the isolation of the puja room. Practice in your interactive life. Sometimes people say, Swamiji, I am very old and I cannot be very active in the world. You don't have to. Your body itself becomes a world for you when you are old. Your body itself. Isn't it? Because struggling with your body, you cannot walk, you cannot see, you cannot smell anything. And you have memories, lots of memories. Dealing with this body itself is a big struggle. So don't say I am old and so I want to sit somewhere. Your body is a mini universe. Dealing with that requires a lot of stamina, strength, clarity of purpose, and belief in the immortality of your soul, your Atman. That alone can save you. The rest are all fleeting and flippant. What will stay with you is that immortal soul. We choose to live the life of that immortal soul, whatever may be the cost. Let that be your soul at the end of these sessions. And I wish you all the best. All the best. And we will be seeing you next week. And we will give you an opportunity. Some of you will have an opportunity to express your feelings and how you really understood it. Don't try to be very flowery in your language. Be honest with your feelings. And some of you will get an opportunity. And I may temporarily suspend this series. And we will resume it in the maybe after a month or so. I plan to give you 12 lectures on the Upanishads. 12 lectures on the Upanishad. One Upanishad a day. So there are main 11 Upanishads. So one Upanishad a day. That is one series I propose to give. Another series I propose to give is, are you able to hear me? You're able to hear. Another series I would like to give you is on Dharma. What is Dharma? 5 lectures. 5 lectures on Dharma. Then 5 lectures on Brahman. What is Brahman? This Brahman that we are talking about. 5 lectures on Brahman. Brahman means the truth, the ultimate truth. I also would like to give you 5 lectures on choice and necessity. Choice and necessity. Because choice is an important ingredient of freedom. Freedom is an important aspect of the Atman, the self. The choice and necessity. how do you bend your choice according to the need of the circumstances? So these are the talks I plan to give. It may take some time, so our organizers will approach you and put it in that in your WhatsApp, and those who are members in the WhatsApp. So I see you next week on Saturday. That will be the kind of, we have to have a nice party in that day. So Sangeeta will be giving you what will be the agenda of the day. Thank you once again. Best of luck. Hari Om.